All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Oh, let's see, we are at 12:28 on, what is it, the 17th? So, well, first off, I've got some new things coming your way, starting with that new intro. Give me your feedback here if you like that or not. If you hate it, just changes some things up. Now you're going to see a lot of new things coming from us over the coming, well, let's see, between now and the end of the month, with new websites, some new ways to access the belt system, and some new price points. Just some new things to look forward to for those of you that would have an interest in that. You can look for that. I think we're going to launch the new site on the 1st of March. So stand by for that. Okay, so let's get to our analysis here. Now, so this, I don't know that I would call this Elliott Wave for dummies, but certainly it's rudimentary Elliott Wave. So we can look at this on the premise here that we've gone 1, 2, and then yet again into another 1, 2, right? To be the completion of this impulse. Okay, well, off the low, right? So if you're a bull, what would you be hoping for as we tag the 50, right? Which would be about as common a retracement as you might expect, right? So from swing low, swing high, we're just doing halfway back. Well, you'd be hoping for the impulse right there. And sure enough, well, we've got a good looking impulse. So it's a little bit premature really to break out the bull horns and say the low is in. We're going to look at the bearish alternative as well. We got to look at it. It's tricky to make the call. Really, we need a little more confirmation to really say, okay, we've got a good low. Okay, yeah, we've got an impulse here. We're going to need to do a retrace here, test some of this. You see we've got imbalances on both sides, right? Maybe come back here, tag the channel, and then get a 3, right? Or at the very least, we got to break this high, right? And then if we do start doing something like that, okay, then we're perhaps on our way. I'll finish that up. Perhaps now we're on our way. Jesus, boy, I'm rusty. Okay, right. So we can do that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Well, okay, where would we be, right? And then the same thing just starts all over again, right? So if we complete that, well, let's go to a golden zone here. So now we'd be coming back here, test the pivot of the 1. You can see we'd have you'd have a breaker block there, right? Right now it's a support, or pardon me, a supply zone. We'd be coming back to a potential demand zone here. We shall see, right? A lot has to happen here. And we're not there yet. I know it's very tempting to think, oh shit, low's in. Oh, off we go. We got our impulse. It's not quite there yet to where I could just say, oh man, I'm buying with both hands. We just need a little more clarity on this, because if you look at the count here with a little more detail, there is a very solid case for another push lower. We'll get to that in a second. So let's just stay here and think about the simplification of this. Let's go down to our daily from the weekly here and take a look at it. Now, everyone who's ever read or even reviewed what an Elliott wave looks like can recognize an impulse off of the low. I mean, it's literally textbook. Now, the one variation here that we'll look at in a second is that the fifth isn't quite as far as we'd like to see it go, but it's hard to miss it, right? I mean, it's hard to say, well, that Elliott wave, it's crap, right? It's not whether you choose to trade with it or not. You wouldn't want to turn a blind eye to an impulsive move off of a potential low here. You wouldn't want to say, well, I don't trade Elliott wave, so I'm not going to call it an impulse. It seems kind of silly, right? I mean, but now, do we have clarity here? Can we confirm? Well, I mean, you can just look at this thing and say, well, okay, sure, doesn't look like we're out of the woods yet, right? We've just come up to the top of the range. I mean, it's literally tick perfect top of the range. I mean, I can't get much more precise with regards to just the range that we're in. So are we out of the range yet? Well, we're not, right? So we got to get this thing is got to get, as I was just kind of suggesting, we got either we've got a top here and we're going to retrace and then go, or there's another leg on this, which there could be, right? We could have an extension in the fifth, right? We could be, it does, looks like we've got a completed impulse here. I know you can't, we're not digging in yet here, but if we could have an extension, take us up to this next supply zone. We could certainly, right? No reason why we couldn't, but it doesn't quite look like we're there yet. But the bigger problem is we can't really eliminate a pretty solid bear account. Now, a lot of people are a lot of very well respected Elliotticians that, people that both my team and I follow, as well as just, solid traders, right? I mean, there's plenty of good Elliotticians out there. Many of them are quite bullish off of this low. So you've got a mixed bag here. There's a pretty strong case to suggest that the flush we got here on FTX wasn't enough. Did we really have panic in the streets? Bitcoin bulls, right? Just roll with it. I don't think we had that kind of a flush, right? So that is a trademark of a strong low to where people are just completely done with it. We got pretty damn close with FTX. And certainly much of the mainstream media is completely done with crypto. Oh my God, right? I mean, you watch... Well, if you pay attention to some of that mainstream media and some of those talking heads, they couldn't be any more done with crypto, which right, typically would be a buy sign. And the fact that as they're lamenting what crap crypto is, right? We complete an impulse. Funny how that works. So I'm just trying to keep it simple here. Now you will note here I've got Sonar Labs. This is by the way, their latest version is absolutely stellar, right? If you're not using this for market structure, boy, I strongly recommend you do. And if you need a little training on market structure, well, you can get it from them. I've got several videos as well that might take you through the basic theory. If you're interested in this indicator, it's pretty reasonably priced for what they're giving you. And we've got a little discount we work closely with them. So in that link bio that you see underneath this, if you click on that, you'll get to all of our tools. But one of them, you'll see there's a 10% discount on Sonar Labs. Right, just a little extra juice for you if you're interested in adding this into the mix. As you can see right here, it dovetails into Elliott just beautifully. That's why I use it. All right, let's go over here and let's look at the count here in a little bit more detail. All right, so here's what we're looking at here. Now you can see a nice example here where I've got Sonar Labs on top of this, and this is pretty striking, right? So here's the supply zone here. We'll note here per this count, the 3 hits the lower edge of it and the 5 hits the top edge of it. So that pretty solid supply zone there. And then we retrace exactly to 50% of this swing, which is what would make you think, oh, wait, could we have another kick here? And the reason you'd like to see that for an Elliottician, right, and particularly for a purist, you'd like to see the 5 come up here and tag that channel. I mean, it's so good on the 1, 3, 4, 2. It's so good. It would be a little bit like, oh, disappointing, right? It's not, perfect is not necessarily what you need, but it's nice to see it when you get it. It would break it. Well, let's look at some of the retracements here. Let me go back out here to this. Oh, let's go to the weekly here and look at this again here. I'm kind of bouncing around, but this is worth noting. Well, so here on the weekly Coinbase, well, first note, we just tagged the 200, right? Well, that's the 200 God MA, right? It's the average of the SMA and the EMA. And we've tagged this, we've come up and tagged this pivot. Excuse me. Allergies continue to be the bane of my existence here in Austin. Okay, so we bring this down here. What did we run into? Now, I'm using the last little pivot here. It's probably on a smaller degree, you'd have an order block there. So you've got a little potential pivot here that's worth using, right? So it's a secondary pivot, but it's the last up bar here before we head down. So worth using. What do, right? Not the 618. Golden zone. Okay, so we tag that and we run it. So do you see all the confluence here? So we've got this pivot here we've run into. We've got the 200, the God EMA, right? Average of the two. And you got a golden zone. So the fact that we hit resistance there should not be terribly shocking to anyone, right? Anyone who follows any of our work. I mean, it's just I couldn't script that anymore. Like, oh, well, no, please understand. I'm not saying we can't get through, but as to where you might bump your head, that boy sure does make sense. So you've got a little bit of a conflict here between wanting to finish this here. Let me get back out here. Wanting to finish this last little kick to get that nice symmetry to get up to the channel pivot. Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to let me do that. Get up to that channel pivot here where we'd hit the next supply zone. Wouldn't that just be perfect? Well, okay, let's look at it here from from this perspective. So if I just draw again, here's the last little upswing. All right, now from here, now no difference here. I'm out of log, right? So if we're going to go up a little bit further, we're going to finish this. Boy, this sure does start to make sense, right? We come in here, get the upper edge of the channel. We'd get an arithmetic golden zone here as we hit the next supply zone. Indicators below, well, they're kind of in line with that here. You can see the nice divergence here. If this is a 3, 4, 5, right? So you can see here's the big push, and then it drops. You can, well, I mean, it's hard to miss, right? All of that, right? As we get progressively higher pivots here, you know, eventually here that sets up the 4. Then we go up. Now, are we done here? Well, there could be, as I said, right? You can just look at this and say, well, certainly there could be another kick here to get us up here, get to that golden zone where we know an algo is going to fire. We don't have to wonder about that right now. That doesn't mean he can't get through, but you got a pretty good amount of resistance up here. You got a golden zone, you got that same pivot, and you got another supply zone here. Potentially now the RSI could get a little hot, right? Although we can stay hot, right? That's not a sell signal in my view. What's a stronger signal with an RSI is when we bounce at the 50 as we did here, right? Something to watch out for. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Try and get to the meat of the matter here. Now, I remind you that, you know, what we're doing, what I'm trying to do with Trade Devils and what we do with members, we're you know, there's a lot of places that are like, oh, fuck, man, just give me the trade. Shut the fuck up and give me the trade, right? There's a lot of that out there. That's never what we're trying to do, never what I set out to do. My goal has always been to teach you this type of analysis so that you can make your own decision about where the trade is, right? Once you, like this, sure, I'm going to give you some suggestions there. Once we hit this, you know, as we were talking about last week, right, it doesn't get any more textbook than that, right? We're in the high probability zone for a 4 between 23 and the 38. We got a demand zone there. We've got the channel support there. We've got the 233. There's the Vegas wave. We've got the 233 there. I mean, you've got I'll pull it over here. You've got this prior cluster here. We can see we have a little high volume, and then just right underneath we got a little low volume node, which often tends to be a trigger, right? It's an imbalance, right? We come out of that with another impulse. I mean, this is a layup, really. Like the market doesn't give you those that often. So when it does, you gotta, like, you don't need me to say, okay, time to buy. That's okay. Come on. Right. That's like, again, drop dead. Can we make it any more simple here? Where we are here, macro. Okay. I'm at a 50%. Okay. Let's come down. Oh, pardon me. Well, let's come down a little bit within the impulse that's driving. We get to the 4. Oh, is there a question mark about what to do there? Not if you study any of our teaching. Oh, well, shit, what doesn't have to be ours, right? If you've read the Elliott Wave Principle, or if you can map out a simple 5, right? I mean, Elliott is just 5s and 3s, right? At the end of the day, that's all it is. It's not, right? Okay, so I got a 5. Come here, God, I miss that every time. I got a 5. Oh, look, I've got a 3 into the highest probability location for a 4th wave at the channel pivot at the 233. I mean, come on, man. You got to take that trade. You don't need me to tell you to take that trade. Now, studying some Elliott Wave would give you the conviction to take that. I mean, even just risk reward, right? It's just too, I think we did this last week. I mean, if you're going to take that trade, it's really, okay, there's 6 to 1. Now, would you be targeting the top of the channel? Yeah, you would. It gets a little better there. You want to give that a little bit more room. I just see now, of course, the more room you give it, the less your risk reward is here, which is why I wouldn't get, I'd go underneath the, right? I mean, the logical place for me as I look at that is to go underneath the demand. Okay, if we're gonna go deeper down, okay, well, maybe something else is going on, but it literally, like, it's right out of the Elliott Wave for Dummies textbook. I mean, it really is. That was that sweet, right? So that's what did we get? A little over 4,000 there in that move. Again, we're not here to tell you, okay, time to buy it, time to sell it, right? We're here to teach you so you don't need anyone to tell you that. That's the whole goal of us here at Trade Devils. Right? I know a lot of people are like, oh man, what a pain in the ass. Just tell me what to trade. Well, how does that, so you're going to be totally dependent on other people? That's not a good long-term plan. You want to get to where you do, look, I concur with my team on this shit before this video. I talked to every one of them, see what their thought was on where we were. It's not that you wouldn't want to confer with other technicians, but when it comes down to entry or exit or that's on you, man. Right? And so you got to have a little conviction there. And remember, the goal, right? I have to repeat this with members often. It's not about being, oh, I nailed the count, right? At the end of the day, it's about money management. So this is a high probability trade with very low risk, right? So you've heard me say this 1,000 times. You probably read it in every book you've ever read, right? We can have small winners. We're going to have those. We're going to have lots of small losers. Occasionally, we're going to get a big winner, right? Now, you might call a $4,000 move here a big winner, right? I mean, it's certainly depending on, did you just trade it with leverage? How'd you approach it? Pretty good move. But the one thing and the only thing you cannot have is a big loser, right? Only big losers allow big losers, right? It's really that. I mean, it sounds silly. Like, oh, fuck, man. What do you do? Come on. That's the reality of it, right? If you have a big loser, you did it to yourself. So, sorry, getting hot. Where are we going here? Well, okay, let's go down a little bit lower here and let's see. Look at this. Okay, so what would we assume here? Well, okay, I can complete this, right? So this is not rocket science. So it looks like 3, 4, 5. Okay, you don't worry about, oh fuck, the micro of the micro of the micro. Let's get a basic 5 on there. Okay, well, if that's complete, well, we can look below, say, okay, does that look RSI? Now we're back down. Does it look like we've got another wave? Well, certainly we could. All right, again, we came a little short of our target there. So what would you be thinking? Well, at this point, since we're, let's go do the whole thing. All right, so from here, now let me explain that difference here. All right, so the difference here is I'm pulling from the swing low here of the completed 5. The Sonar Labs 50 is pulling from the last structure break, right? That's why there's a disparity between their 50 and the 50 I'm pulling from this low, right? Well, I think they're pulling from this pivot. Yeah, no, they're pulling from this one right here, right? So this is it's hard to see. Right here, this is the strong low. This is the last low here that did its job, right? Broke the structure and gave us, there's the break of structure right there. It's nice that they showed that to you, like, oh, break of structure, right? So I know where the pivot is, all right? But for an Elliottician, our pivot is going to be lower. So let's come back here. Oh, this is a little wonky here. It is, right? So it came down this far, so you'd have to use the lower pivot for the 2. It's not the cleanest beginning. But once we get going here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 3, that's really what you want to see is a good impulse within the 3. And here we're down to the 60. Okay, 4, 5. Okay, can we get that done? Well, given that we broke here again, right? We broke the structure again, right? We break the structure here. This is a change of character here, but we break that low. So now as we come back up, okay, what do you think you're going to see there? What do you think you're going to see there? Let me get it right on the pivot. Shocking, I know. I mean, guys, you should see this in the S&P, right? It is literally just nonstop. It's just nonstop, right? It's all it does, right? All of the trading in there, most of the trade, well, probably less here, but you get in the stock indexes and the equities, right? It's 95% algos, and this is the dominant algo, right? And there's a gazillion of them in there, but it does this all day long, all day long, right? Just ping pong, right? One's golden zone to the next, to the target, to the next thing. I digress. Okay, so if we're sitting here, well, are we thinking that sure looks more impulsive? Like the drop here feels more impulsive. This looks more corrective. So right off the bat, you'd be thinking, oh, okay, A, B, C, right? We're again, it's high probability location. If this is going to be a B, or if this is a 1 and this is a 2, or if this is an A and this is a B, well, okay. Where would you anticipate that to pivot? Oh, by the way, you got a fair value gap here as well. You got another order block. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, the high is in, we're going down, but that you can understand again why you would hit resistance there. That's just software sitting there, right? It's the same shit over and over and over again. I've been doing this for 5 years, showing to you. I've probably shown this, 20,000 times, right? I still have people go, how does what's that golden zone thing? Anyway, so what would we be thinking? If this is 4 and this is the 5, well, we're thinking A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something along those lines, because the premise is at this moment in time that we completed up here because I've got a completed impulse. And now coming down here, I've come back in a 3. Now, what would change that, right? So how would we change that? Okay, if this comes down and we go here into a 5, okay, well, it's game on, right? So this is wrong, right? The goal is not to be right about the count. The goal is to be profitable. Oh, okay, well, that broke it. I mean, could you take a low-risk trade here if you're comfortable on the short side? Could you take a really low-risk trade there? Get you here. Down here, well, there's almost 10 to 1. You don't have to give it a lot, right? Big losers allow for big losers. No reason to do that. I mean, you want to go up here on the other side. All right, maybe you got a little. You're better than 2 to 1. And I'm using POC down here in the algo target. For all I know, we'll go here, and you got 7 to 1. But okay, but be reasonable about your targets. At least take a portion here. If you were to get that big if, right? If you were to get that, well, what do we got here? So all we're doing is just putting together patterns we know repeat. 5 followed by a 3, right? That's all we're doing. Right? It's not rocket science. You can complicate it. You can choose to complicate it, right? A lot of people do, right? You want to solve the puzzle. They want to get into all the nitty gritty. I like it, right? It's a challenge, but you don't have to do that, right? You can keep it simple, right? But there's advantages to using it because, I know what I can anticipate is coming next. That's the whole point. Otherwise, you're like, well, fuck, I don't know. Well, shit, we're above the moving averages. I guess I'm a buyer. Okay, right? I mean, right? Oh, okay. Well, let's put a 50 on. Let's put, you just find yourself in this kind of random. I'll try some of this, try some of that. Whereas here we have, this is the appeal to it, right? You either love it or you hate it, right? Some people go, oh, fuck those rules, man. I'm a free spirit, man. Rules that's for old timers. The rules will guide you. If you study it, you'll find it'll help you more than hurt. It'll frustrate you many times because you'll be wrong so often, right? Welcome to trading, right? Again, goal is not to be right. Never the goal, right? Now, often being right can lead to profitability, but then right, you can be right and fuck up the trade because you have poor money management. So there's so much to it. That's why we don't just teach you Elliott Wave, right? That's someone had to remind me of this the other day because they're like, all you guys do is Elliott Wave. No, Elliott Wave is the third thing of priorities that we do, right? Number 1 is the algo, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is geometry. Number 3 is the Elliott Wave, right? You sure don't need it. It's not a requirement to be successful, right? Many traders prove that every day. But when it's here and it's in your face, why would you ignore it? Seems kind of silly. All right, so what are we looking for next here? If we have the top end, which we can't confirm, we're looking for a retracement. Now, we start with, as I was just drawing it up, we start with the retracement of the last impulse. That's where you start. Okay, well, all right, if we're coming deeper than that, well, now you're going to pull out and say, well, wait a second here, I better go to a 2-hour do it. Okay, right, so the first thing we're looking at is, well, here's the swing. Okay, what happens? Right? Are we going to break the 4 here? Well, if this is complete, you'd fully be anticipating this, which is why, I've had people writing me saying, oh, fuck, man, I missed it. Well, did you? If this is going to play Elliott ball here and we've got a top in, did you miss it? Let's get the wave. Let's get just a golden zone on there. Did you miss it? Here's where you're expecting it to go next, right? Again, the market has no requirement to go there. Again, we're just talking probabilities. Well, if we're going to break out of this range and we're going to come down, all we're doing is expecting, okay, let's think how that could get here. Maybe this is a 1, right? Maybe the low is in and this is the 1 and we're going to go 2 and then a monster's coming. Well, it certainly could be. Right? We can't eliminate that possibility, right? Market's going to do what it's going to do. But we can look at this and say, I can put a frame around this and say, okay, I can see a completed impulse here. Doesn't mean that that's the top. It just means as we take a snapshot of it right here, I've got a pattern that looks like it's completed. Right? All it's going to take to rearrange your thinking there is a new high. Right? Now you're back to, is it an extension? Shit, what's going on? Is it an expanded B? Is this an A? Oh, we're going to expand the B if we get a new high? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just see right now, if indeed this is complete, would you be thinking A, B, C, that seems like a little bit off there, right? What would you be more probable if, right? Let's just go through it. If the high is in, let's take that off for a second. If the high is in and we're going to go all the way down to that 50% down here, you'd be thinking perhaps that this is a 1-2 of the A wave, right? 1, 2, right? 3, let's get a 3, 4, 5, right? Just for shits and giggles, let's consider it. Okay, I'm looking for a 5 because I'm looking for an A wave to correct what just happened. Well, we could be going golden zone, all right? So you can lay this out. It's not hard. It's not hard to do. Okay, I got a 5. Where's the next 3? If I'm thinking that the retrace is going to get down here, how am I going to get there? Right? What's the roadmap to get me there? Well, I mean, fairly decent right there. Do I know that's coming? Of course not. But I can map that out and say, okay, well, I've got a contender here. Now, of course, we're going to look at some bearish contenders. But right now, as we're staring here looking at this, if you want to, okay, are we in? Well, what's next? Well, okay, nobody knows what's next. But we can base off of how many trillions of completed Elliott waves over the market's history, and it would be in the trillions. Okay, what's likely? That's all we get, right? As you've heard me say that damn near a trillion times. We don't get any certainty. All we get is probabilities. All we get is patterns that are prone to repeat. Not because they're magic, but because people do the same shit with money, right? It's just emotion, right? Fear and greed, right? That's all Elliott Wave is. Greed, oh, fear. Oh, a little fearful. Oh, greed. Right? It's just fear and greed. That's what makes them look like magic, right? There's no magic. It's just human emotion. All right. God, I'm on a rant today. What am I at? 26 today? Really didn't have a whole lot teed up, right? But just looking at this, it kind of, it takes you through the video almost by itself. Well, if this is the pivot, what are we looking for next? The 3. If we're gonna hold here, what's the alternative? That we're gonna get an extension in the 5th? Seems reasonable. All right, so that's a lot of talk about the potential for this to be the hard low, right? And we'd be all the way back to, oh shit, where am I? We'd be all the way back to this being a 2 and this being, right? This is for bulls. Right, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there, right? In terms of the macro big picture, we got to get a 1-2. We got to get a 3, right? That's when you can start to go, okay, game on, right? Now we're going, right? First we got to break this, right? We got to get that 3 going, right? Now, because the alternative is a bit on the ugly side. If this is going to be the resistance here, and we've completed a 5 here, we know if it's a 5, if it's done, something finished here. Right, the downside's pretty ugly. Okay, let's look at that downside. Let me bring over motive wave here, which I just happen to have it drawn up. So it's hard not to recognize the potential for this to be a WX, right? So we've gone A, expand the B just barely, A, B, C, because it's a series of 3s. That's what's making it look this way. Oh, shit. Let's see if I do this. There we go. Okay, so we can do it this way. Now, this is debatable, right? Now, this is what love it or hate it about Elliott Wave. There's subjectivity to how it's counted. You could count this a couple of different ways. That's what people hate about it. Well, okay, so as opposed to, I mean, lots of things in TA can be interpreted multiple different ways. But look at the beautiful channeling we have here. Let me get this up a little bit. You could do this through 5, 3, 5 into a, so we'd have, it's a 3, we'd have A, B, C, all right? It's clean Elliott. It's a little sloppy here up at the top, the 1, 2, right? Oh, shit. Oh, that's the high, right? It's a little kinky up here, but 3, 4, 5, right? We've been through this count before, right? But now, see, this is what's making this a little tricky. This is literally a perfect looking flat. Just couldn't be any sexier, right? If you like, if TA, gets you off here. So 3, 3, 5. Whoa, what a nice looking flat. Well, so it's a candidate for the X. So we could be thinking W. It's unfortunately for bulls, this is a really clean count because the X to the W cleans up some of the swing symmetry issues with this being the low, right? So if we come back, oh shit, if we come back here, this is not, if it's a ABC, if you were doing a sharp double, the symmetry doesn't quite play because you're finishing this thing here with this tiny little 3, right? So you look at it and go, oh, fuck, oh, well, okay. It could be because the bigger 3 is up here. You're thinking, oh, look at the monster 3 there. And then I'm gonna have this baby little X, and then I'm gonna have a little baby 3 down here. So if you're an Elliottician, that's like, you know, fingernails on a what am I trying to say? On a blackboard. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel right. It just, I don't want to lean into that too heavily. But if you think of that a little bit differently and look at it this way, boy, this sure starts to look like, oh, look at that perfect wave symmetry. It's into the golden zone, into the structure. And all of a sudden you go, wait a second. If I start putting this together, this starts to look a little bit better. Like there's the first 3. This would be the X, right? So this is coming lower. So we can do it here. If I do it, yeah, we do it this way. W, X, right? Y, right? So 2 coming down. So now you're looking, okay, look at the size of that. So if this is going to come down, something like that, you're going to get a better wave relationship here. Now, do I know that's coming to? Listen, I'm long as hell. I'm not rooting for this outcome here, but I can certainly see the path to it. Right, that's what I'm trying to get you to. So if we come back here and look at this, okay, well, there's the 5, 3, 3, 5, right? Perfect symmetry here. I mean, it's, what do we hit here? The 1318, right? The length of the A projected from the expanded B, we come up 1382. Not quite. I think it's in between the 138 and the 127. Bring you down. There it is, right? So it's a 127. Actually, it looks like 127 got it to the tick. But look at the, here, if I do this, look at this from this pivot here to this pivot here to this pivot here. Do you see the what was support becomes resistance, continues to be resistance? We got to get bullish. We got to get on the other side of that and then come back down and test it from above. It, you know, does it hold? Does it hold? Look here, we got all of this volume here. We drew it out before. Here, let's do it over here. If we come back to this, if we come back to it, if we can get up and then come back to it, that's when I'm going to be screaming at you, time to buy, right? Time to buy. We're not there yet. I love it when I can say that with conviction, but I can't quite tell you, oh, go hard. Can't do it yet, right? This just is too much a candidate. I'm not saying don't trade it. I'm not saying don't be a bull. I'm just saying you can't ignore it. Well, if you're an Elliottician, right? If you're going to study that TA, even take the Elliott out of it, right? Just take the Elliott out of it. Here, let's hide this. Oh, shit. Hide. Okay, let's hide, right? Forget that stuff here. Just structure. Oh, okay. Well, wouldn't you like to see that at least break that pivot? What you want, I'm trying to draw this here. Oh, come here. What we want to see is this come back down. Is it safe? Is it safe? Is that going to be support? It was resistance. Can it be support, right? Just like here, was support, became resistance. Now, got to get through, right? We get through. Now, what's the next thing? We got to get to that one. Right? You see the same thing happen over and over again here, right? So can we get to that one, right? We can see that happening. Oh, up here, we're going to ping the prior. Do you see it right here again, right? Was support, became resistance. And we're going to come up here and test it. Well, what if we're doing that? Now you can start to put the pieces together. Now you look and you think, oh, from that low, if we get up here, let's do the full Monty on here. Oh, we're here. Okay, right, 3.8. Well, this is going to need a pretty big kick here. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boy, it doesn't seem like it could get there in that fashion. It seems more likely, right? If those of you Elliotticians would be looking here thinking, okay, if that's the 5, it seems like we got to come down and go up now. Now I got to get there, right? That seems more probable. Okay, what potentially, maybe I get a little triangle here. Now I'm off to the algo target, which is at the next supply zone. How am I doing on time? 34. Okay, right? So just out of curiosity, just because this is the kind of stuff that makes me crazy, right? So you'd just barely be getting to the 100, right? Now that's log scale. It would be just long enough here if we bump into that, assuming I'm pulling here from the right pivots here, it'd be just long enough to get you there. Now take it out of log, right? Different story, right? Completely changes what you're looking at. But this is not necessarily any more helpful here. I think you really, because of the range here, you want to stay in log, right? That's my view, right? If you feel differently, take it out of log. Hey, oh shit, over here, we're out of log. We're not in log here. Don't need to be, right? We're not looking at the same range. Lovely. Just look at that beautiful channel. Okay, that's probably enough on this. I think this is a hurry up and wait, right? If you didn't catch the impulse here, I don't know that I'd be chasing the expectation of an extension in the fifth. If you do, well, you're already late to that, right? So if you were taking the idea that the 50, well, shit, that was probably a golden zone. If you're taking the idea that you had the, that's from a different pivot here, but that this was, you're going to hold here for whatever reason, right? I mean, look at all the fair value gap down here. This is just, this imbalance has now been corrected. You can see this, right? So this big fair value gap here has now been mitigated here. So the imbalance is corrected. Now we go up here. Now you could certainly see how this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So then you start to rethink that. Wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I'm looking for 5s and 3s. 1, 2, 3. Off we go to new highs. Perhaps we go get that channel. All right, enough on that. Let's go. How am I doing? 36. So much for making these shorter. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing over here with ETH. Let me get that off. I know that's annoying. All right, if indeed this is the one, and we've got this wacky 2. Okay, well I got the same impulse. It's not quite as good actually, because we don't have that last leg here on the 5th. It's a little bit short, a little bit stumpy on the 5th here. We'll look at it as we go to a smaller time frame. Do you see the exact same thing happening here? Look at all that, right? That's just pure market structure, right? So prior support, resistance. Now, what do you want to see? We want to see this. We want a cleaner push up here and then come back, right? Can we test it and go? Well, if it were doing that, you might anticipate a deeper retracement here. That remains to be seen. But right now, we're bumping our heads right where you'd expect it. Like, again, Elliott aside. Oh. Right now, what's the only thing left to put on there? Well, this is a significant pivot. This is a significant pivot. Oh, look at that. Well, let's take it out of log scale, right? No close above, but enough to where you'd be thinking, oh, bull's ball, bull's advantage. Looks like it has one more kick in it. Let's go down here. If this is a, let's go to an 8. Maybe that'll give it to us. Maybe a 4. That's not a great looking 2, but let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. You kind of, oh shit, what happened there? I got ass backwards on that. All right, so I'd have to get to a smaller time frame, right? So something along these lines. 3, 4, right? You really want this to kick up here. Let's check that here. Let's go down to a 2, see if I can get a cleaner count on this. You might be stuck with it there. It's not perfect, right? Elliott's, don't expect it to be perfect, right? That's a big mistake. People go, well, it wasn't a perfect fucking impulse, right? So I couldn't take the trade. Big mistake. Big mistake, right? If you can see it, 1, 2, right? It's not like, oh, every 2 has to go to the golden zone. 3, 4 is there. It looks like you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of the same thing, right? But you really want to see this get beyond out of there. Let's just, right, same thing. You would just business as usual, right? Down to the 50, right? Not uncommon for a 4, right? 1, 2, 3. Can we really looking for that to get a better 5, right? Then you start to be thinking, okay, maybe, let's label it. Here's not hard to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take that up a degree or 2. All right, let's go to white here so it stands out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then again, just some basic Elliott. Okay, if that's a 1 and that's a 2, where's the high probability zone for a 3? Right here. Right here. Okay, well, it's not to the tick, but you know, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Maybe you got it. It looks like you got an expanded B here. So you got a little bit further here, almost got 200%. Looks like you got this here coming here. So 3, 3, 5, right? So you got a, oh shit. You might, yeah, looks like you do. Is that far enough for a flat? Yeah, it looks like it is, right? So you got an ABC, 5. So 3, 3, 5. Looks like you're clean there. Again, I'm not a purist, so I wouldn't disqualify it. Oh, it only went 88.9, so it can't be a flat. That's silly. But we can certainly see the makings of it, right? 3, 3, 5. It's kind of deep for a flat, but there we go, right? It's implied in the name, right? It's kind of surprising that we go that deep, but we do. And then you'd be thinking, oh, okay, well, from the 2 through the 3, right to the 38. High probability zone, right in between, right? So we got a little push. So it looks like it was trying to finish the 5. Now we come off with an impulse. Right, what's next, right? This would be ideal, right? So we can do the same thing over here, right? Come here, right there. Let's use the 4 here. Let's use the bottom half of it here. So we'll allow for a little throw over here. I might do this. All right, so we got a little runner on the side. So you want to get that 5 up there. Can we get that over the weekend? Damn near looks like it's underway, doesn't it? You don't have it quite done here, right? So you have one more up with a little divergence. So you'd like to see that. That's what you're after here. Can I get this last little kick up here to give me the 5, but not, not put in a, well, shit, would you be disappointed if you're long? You'd be anticipating you wouldn't get as far as you would here with the Elliott oscillator, if I bring that up here. This likely would be the 3 of the 5th, right? And then you get a lower pivot, just like you do here. If that's 3, 4, 5 of the 3 of the 3 of the 3. You're looking for that divergence here. That's what I'd be looking for. All right, so here's the bear count. Now, this is Sensei James M., right? Many of you guys know him. Very, very talented Elliottician. He's reminding me that we've got a candidate here for a triangle. Here, let me get this out of the way. So note here we're at the 50 here. Oh, here, I'll just pull it off. Okay, so we could have a W, A, B, C, D, E into an X and down for the Y. So both Bitcoin and ETH have a bear count that's very much in play. Now, it's a little, so you come back to this and you think, well, wait a minute, weren't you just showing me an impulse? Well, yeah. Right, we're back to interpretation. I can get an A, B, and then I can get my C here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get silly. Okay, I can get that C done here. If we're done, if heavy emphasis, did I say if it's A, B, C, I'm still a candidate here for this triangle to play. So his thought being, careful, right? We're not out of the woods yet. This is a very viable count here. If we come D, E, puts in the X via a triangle, then down for the Y. Now, are we going that low? Well, I don't know that we need to go that low or that we are going that low, but I can't eliminate this count. So it just becomes a candidate. How do we disqualify this? Well, if in the other count, right, as we just looked at it, here, if this completes, the only way we can really confirm it, we have to get a 3 that holds. We don't go down and challenge those lows, and then we go off for the big one. That's your money ball right there. Right, at this degree, that this would be 2, I guess at a different degree, 1, 2, and this is, that's when you get paid, right, on the 3s. All right, how am I doing? 43. Holy shit, so much for being. This one, let's go back over to the S&P here, and I'm going to finish here. I'm not so good at making these shorter. Okay, so let's just look here again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Candidate for the A. Well, if this is going to be a B here, you'd be looking for one more little kick here. This would be very unusual if we didn't. Let's see if I can bring this over. Oh, did I lock it? Did I lock it? No, I shouldn't. If this is the C, that doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. So you'd be I'm having trouble with that one. Let's get that off of there. I'm in trouble grabbing you. You'd be anticipating that little higher. Well, number one, that's the high probability location for a B wave, right? If this is the A, plus the length of time of the A. Oh, shit, I gotta get that off. The length of time of the A, you'd want to see a little more time here, even out like this. Take a little more time to get you that good wave symmetry. Now we could, nothing says we couldn't break here. I'm out of log scale here and on the S&P. A, B, right? That suggests that we've got another ride to go down here, right? That would be the target. We looked at that last week here, coming back into this prior range here. So A, B, C, and of course you'd have another candidate here for if we got that. for a golden corner here. If big monster if here, if we get up here and get to that golden. Now you have a setup for a golden corner with a target down here at 31.83. Can't eliminate that. So this is what makes this kind of a trade hard, and why perhaps options would be a good way to do it. If we're going up here to 4,300, nothing, you're going to read nothing but bullish. Oh, what recession, right? It's just going to be bull, right? So it makes it so you're uncomfortable taking that. That's when you want to take it, because if by the time we get here, right, who's thinking it's a good time to take it there? That's the retail trader. Oh, it must be safe now because Kramer said I can buy stocks, and it must be good here, right? That right as you come into that golden zone, and that's right when it'll turn, because retail is always wrong, almost always long, and almost always wrong, right? Not okay, right? Not always, right? But for the majority, if we're generally speaking, retail waits till it's safe. The only worst place you could buy it is right here, right? And that's when, oh, now we're really safe. But right into the golden zone, because they don't know that's there. They have no idea, not to disparage anyone who doesn't know that that's there, but if you don't, once someone shows it to you, boy, I don't know how you could ever ignore it again. All right, I think I got everything covered there. Okay, guys, I went longer. Shit. Trying to do these shorter. So much for that. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it there. Hopefully you got a few ideas here. Again, it's not about here's the trade, take it here, buy it here, sell it here, there's your target. We're trying to teach you how to do this yourself. That's always been our goal, not to hand it to you, but to teach it to you, right? What is it? Oh, it's so trite, but, teach a man to fish. We've always been trying to teach you to fish, not to give you, a fried fish sticks dinner. Okay, guys, have a good weekend. New stuff coming from us. We're very close to getting it all put together. There's been a lot of stuff on the back end, and I'm threatening to do some live streaming here, and people tell me that they got to see me. So all right, I've got some new equipment set up, but it should be some new things here that will reignite some things that we've been quiet on. Okay, all right, guys, you guys have a good weekend, and we'll be back with you next week.